Next question.
Hello, Bobby Herstova with CBC News here. My question is for whoever wants to answer it. You all talked about workers and how this is a great thing for workers and that's the future. But there has been criticism about the use of foreign workers at EV plants, EV battery plants. So my question is, what guarantees were sought and received about who will get to work at this plant?
Well, I want to say, once these investments, these anchor investments have been done in the country, our jobs is to maximize the opportunities for Canadians, whether it's Canadian workers, Canadian construction workers, but also the whole supply chain, because you're looking at generational investments. We've always made sure that we maximize the number of jobs for Canadians, but also not only during the plant and the construction phase, but certainly making sure that all the suppliers will be involved in that.
Next question.
Good afternoon, I guess now. This message is questions for either the Prime Minister or Minister Champagne. If the Americans get in a trade war, it will involve us likely because of how integrated our systems are. But the best defense, they say, to that is to be self-sufficient. Yet we're 10 to 15 years away from any of these lithium mines or cobalt mines becoming, operational. And that's maybe. Meaning we're beholden to the Chinese products now. Yet with graphite, for example, China now requires government approval for exports. Does that worry you? And is this the right time to pick a fight?
Well, we know, first of all, and we've seen it, that whether it's the example of Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine that followed up with them weaponizing energy and critical minerals exports to the European Union, there is a need and a desire to have not just efficient supply chains, but resilient supply chains, friendshoring, working together strategically to make sure that no country, particularly a country that has sometimes shown itself to be extremely challenging to the aims of our democracies and our successes, could corner the market on our net zero future. That's why Canada has made investments, and there are lithium mines up and running in Canada, and there continue to be investments in more and in processing facilities as well. We know there is a need to build alternatives here in Canada for the world, and not just in Canada. We're working with places like Australia and Indonesia and Chile on developing those resilient supply chains that are the necessary ingredients into our net zero economies, our net zero future. So we are being very, very strong with a solid offense on creating the resiliency and the support that the world's economy is going to need from a reliable, friendly partner like Canada. This was a deliberate choice by this government 8 years ago to realize that we had an opportunity. Even before we saw the disruptions of supply chains in the pandemic, we had an opportunity to put Canada forward as a solid place to invest, a solid partner for economic growth around the world, and we've seen the results. Since 2015, foreign direct investment by international companies has increased by 60% into Canada. Last year, we were the top per capita foreign direct investment amongst advanced industrialized economies in the G7. And we're actually third in absolute terms last year after the US and Brazil in terms of foreign direct investment. So the world is noticing that Canada is one of those places to invest and to create those solutions that provides the alternatives and the resilience that the world's going to need.
Hi, Laura Stone, Globe and Mail. Prime Minister, I want to ask you about leadership. Polls have put you 20 points behind the Conservatives, and it doesn't seem to be getting better despite your recent communications push from your budget. The public appears to have an overwhelmingly negative view of you personally, and you seem to have lost control of the conversation on some of the key issues that Canadians care about. I think the public might be looking at you and your position right now and thinking, for the good of the Liberal Party, why is he staying on?
Thank you for your concern, Laura. But as you see, we're here investing in good jobs for today and for generations to come. The world is in a challenging place, absolutely. But that's why for 8 years this government has been putting forward investments and a frame that both fights climate change and creates good jobs and economic growth, that understands that if you want to bring in strong investments and great jobs for Canadians, you have to be making investments in things like childcare, like pharmacare, like healthcare, investments in supporting our seniors, investments to make sure that young people get the best opportunity as they go off to post-secondary education. I know there are lots of folks in Ottawa thinking about process. I'm focused on results for Canadians. I'm focused on delivering the kinds of things that are going to set Canada and Canadians up for success over the coming decades, because that's the moment we're in right now. A different government years ago wouldn't have made the choice to build an EV ecosystem here in Canada. Would have doubled down on the oil and gas industry and stayed away from anything that threatened the oil and gas industry. Well, we know that the pressure we're putting on the oil and gas industry to decarbonize and to invest in renewables goes hand in hand with our decision to invest massively in the electrification of our economies. Because we have the clean electricity here in Canada, we have the high-quality manufacturing workers, we have the social and economic stability that countries around the world and companies around the world are looking for. This is about building a plan for the future of this country. That's what we're focused on, and that's what I will continue to be focused on, because building a better future for Canadians, bringing in fairness for every generation, that's what I am 100% focused on right now. Merci. My job?
No.
Premier Ford, my question is about cars, but about car theft. How is the threat of suspending a driver's license actually going to make a difference in stopping auto theft? Somebody who's willing to steal a car probably isn't worried about the consequences of driving without a license.
Well, thanks for the question. I've said right from the beginning, we look at bail reform, and we worked well with the federal government on bail reform, worked well with the Minister LeBlanc on that as well, making sure we tighten up Montreal Port, which again, we've worked well with Minister LeBlanc on that as well. I believe in mandatory sentences. Someone's going in, stealing your car or kicking your doors in, putting a gun to your head, which has happened on numerous occasions. They should be going to jail immediately. What we've seen here in Ontario, people committing crimes, heinous crimes, and they're out on bail. Not once, not twice, 3, 4, 5 times. It's absolutely ridiculous. So the solution, there's many solutions, but one is making sure when we catch these criminals, we throw them behind bars and keep them there, and discourage the rest of them to do the same thing. But I'm tough on crime.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes